So you'll need a calculator for this question. The different calculators do things slightly different, but by far the most common calculator, and if you haven't got one, I would recommend them, are the Casio calculators. Mine has a shiny solar panel on the top, but you don't need that. The average battery life lasts way longer than you'll ever need the calculator. So the first button I would press, and there's different ways of doing this question, is the button to get the fraction, which on the Casios looks like this. And that will make a fraction appear on your calculator. Now, some of the older ones, the fraction looks a bit weird. It involves like a symbol like this. And actually on the new ones it can, but you need to change the settings if it does that. It should open up, it should look something like this, like a box and then another box, and there should be a cursor blinking in this box. Okay, so we want to fill in this top box first, since it's already flashing. So 76.8 plus 81.9. Okay, and so to shift downwards on the Casio calculators, there's a sort of cursor, like a cursor stick, a direction button thing. It's the big blue button beneath the screen on most of the calculators, and you just push the down to go to the denominator of the fraction. And then we need to fill in this bit here, so 0.19, and then to get the squared button, it's on like that. So you just press that, and it looks exactly as it does in the question on the screen, so you know you've got it right. So you press the equals, and my one comes up with 4396.121884. Now, it might be tempting to try and round that, but it says it wants all the figures, so just put them all in. Now, if your calculator is set to a mode which it's going to show even more numbers, then normally six digits after the decimal point is more than enough. They won't require you to go to 100 or 200 decimal places. On this question, that's actually an exact amount. Okay, so write down correct to two significant figures. Now, to do two significant figures, we start counting at the start of the number. So I'm going to do a red line where you need to start counting. And you just count 1, 2 numbers. So the blue line is where I've stopped counting. Now, all of these numbers here are going to be reset to 0. They're going to go away. Well, not quite. Let's come to that later. Now, this number here, the 9, is what we call a decider number. Now, that number is going to go. That 9 is gone. Okay? But before it goes, we need to see whether that is 5 or more or 4 or less. If it's 5 or more, it pushes that 3 up to a 4. So the answer will be 4, 4, and then you'd think, oh, okay, that's it, rounded, and you'd write that in your answer column. But when I said they disappear, they don't quite disappear. All the numbers above the green line that I've just drawn reset to 0. They turn to 0. Now, if you think about it, if I don't know what would have a decimal place, but if you have a number 4,396.121884 written down, and someone says, "Can you tell me roughly how much that is?" Then if you say the answer of 44, that's not roughly 44. It's nowhere near 44. So the 9 and the 6 will turn to 0. And actually the other numbers do too. But these numbers here are not changing the number at all. These 2 zeros here will make that 4,400 instead of just 44. The other numbers after decimal point, we might as well get rid of them. So the answer is 4,400. Okay, because we don't need to show these numbers. Now, the reason students make this mistake is they're so used to decimal places. Now, decimal places, you always remove them because they're always after the decimal point. But with significant figures, they need to turn to zeros.